Chapter 8. Sent. "Is this really necessary?" she asked, for the third time in under 5 minutes. It was taking longer to get out the door than I had anticipated, and I was risking possible werewolf exposure if she didn't let me leave. Bella was practically pouting when we finally said our goodbyes at the door. As grateful as I was that Jacob had agreed to help us find our mysterious, unwanted guest, it didn't mean I was willing to be in the same room as him. "It's not that I feel any personal antagonism toward him, Bella," I explained, though I knew it was only partly true. "It's just easier for both of us. I won't be far away. You'll be safe." "I'm not worried about that," she said sulkily. I smiled, thrilled by the idea that even one afternoon apart seemed too much for her. When I thought of Jacob, getting to spend time with Bella when what she and I really wanted was the rest of the day alone, I decided the least I could do was leave him a little reminder of my presence. I reached out to take her hand and pulled her into my arms, breathing in the luxurious scent coming off every strand of her hair, and as I breathed her in, I let my own breath wash over her. In the little time I had spent around Jacob, I had discovered something that seemed to be inherent in our respective genetic makeups, reflecting the way we felt about each other. I couldn't be sure exactly what we smelled like to the wolves, but based on the revolting stink that seemed to saturate them, I assumed it wasn't pleasant. It may have been petty, but I hoped that aside from reminding him that Bella had spent the morning in my arms, it would serve a dual function of deterring him from wanting to get closer to her. Bella shivered slightly as I pulled away, and I worried for a moment that my icy breath had chilled her. However, the hazy look that had taken over her eyes assured me it was the good kind of shiver. "I'll be right back," I said, laughing, as I pictured the look on Jacob's face when he inevitably pulled her in for a hug. "What's so funny?" she asked, but of course I would never admit to having given in to such a childish prank. Although I considered staying nearby long enough to hear his response, in the end, I decided I'd acted immature enough for one day. Besides, if I stayed for 5 minutes, it would be too easy to stay the whole time, and I had already decided to venture a bit closer to the treaty line in an attempt to pick up any trace of the intruder. It was a quick run toward the push, and although Jacob said he would talk to Sam about allowing us greater access for the sake of the hunt, I didn't want to cross the line unless I needed to. I scoured the surrounding area, but came up short. As I expected, there was nothing but the normal variety of wildlife, and a general smell of wet dog, but that was to be expected, given where I was. I wondered how long Jacob was planning on staying. I had only been gone about a half an hour, but I was already anxious to get back. I decided to head back to Bella's, but promised myself that if he was still there, I would wait patiently, and at a respectable distance, until he was ready to leave. As I passed Bella's mailbox, I stopped to see if any college acceptance letters had arrived. I had no doubt that she would have her pick of schools, should she decide to try college out for a while. All I could do was hope that one of them was appealing enough to make her want to delay her change for a bit longer, though nothing had sparked even the slightest bit of interest so far. Still, I was thrilled to see a large envelope from Dartmouth, one of the schools I took the liberty of applying to for her. Maybe once she actually held the letter in her hand, she would realize the possibilities. Tucking the letter inside my pocket, I made my way up to the house. Much to my amusement, the first thing I could hear when I stepped onto the porch was, "Ugh, your hair stinks worse than your room." I smiled to myself, not only entertained by his response, but happy to know it was the first time during their visit he had been close enough to notice. I listened quietly as they joked about the smell, and was startled when Jacob abruptly told her, "See you around, Bells." "Are you leaving?" she asked. The sadness in her voice tugged at my heart. I wanted to give her everything that made her happy, but it was difficult to accept that sometimes he was what she wanted. "He's waiting for me to go," he explained. "I can hear him outside. Just couldn't stay away, could you?" he added silently. It was hard to get used to the idea that Jacob could hear my presence as well as I could hear his. At least he couldn't hear my thoughts, although I suspected he knew the general idea. Just as he was about to leave, he paused, his thoughts growing more patronizing. "Hey, you don't mind if I borrow your girlfriend for the evening, do you? We already decided I can keep her safe, so no big deal, right? You know, assuming you can stand to let her out of your sight for longer than a half hour." I bit back a growl in my throat as he extended the official invitation to Bella. A bonfire on the beach. I knew I had no right to ask her not to go. All I could do was listen to whether or not she would accept. "Come on, you think somebody's gonna get past all 6 of us?" Jacob urged when she hesitated. "I'll ask," she said, obviously torn, but for what reason? Was she finally showing an ounce of concern for her well-being, or was she worried about what I would say if she told me she wanted to go? "Huh, is he your warden now, too?" Jacob scoffed. "You know, I saw this story on the news last week about a controlling, abusive teenage relationship, and—" "Okay, time for the werewolf to get out," she yelled, making me smile. "Bye, Bells. Be sure to ask permission," he said. "I know you're listening, so could you please let her come, and don't make her feel bad about it?" The sincerity I heard shocked me. He was asking me to allow her to visit, not making a snide remark about controlling her or trying to goad me into it, but actually asking me. I'm not sure what my expression showed when I walked into the room, but before Bella had even seen me it changed. I was distracted by an overwhelming scent, unfamiliar, although something about it was off. It confused me for a moment, but then I saw the bloody knife on the counter. Ah, werewolf blood. Here I thought I had arrived in time for all the fun, but it looks like I'd missed a real excitement. Maybe he had tried to get close to her earlier, and she was making her feelings about it known. I sighed. Wishful thinking, I'm sure. "Did you two get into a fight?" I asked. "Edward," she said excitedly, closing the distance between us in seconds and throwing her arms around me. "Hi there," I said, returning the embrace. It was good to know that no matter how disappointed she seemed to be when Jacob left, it was nothing compared to the enthusiasm she showed at my return. "Are you trying to distract me? It's working." "No, I didn't fight with Jacob. Much. Why?" "I was just wondering why you stabbed him. Not that I object," I teased, motioning towards the knife. "Dang, I thought I got everything." She sounded so apologetic. I wondered if I should explain that smelling wolf blood had precisely the opposite effect as smelling human blood. If it was possible for a vampire to get sick, that would be the scent that would cause it. Before I could say a word, she was at the sink scrubbing away at it. "I didn't stab him," she said. "He forgot he had a knife in his hand." "That's not nearly as fun as the way I imagined it." "Be nice," she warned, though there was a hint of teasing in her voice. Good or bad, I'd had enough of any conversation involving Jacob, so I decided it was time to unveil what I thought was a very exciting acceptance letter. "I got your mail," I said, feigning nonchalance. "Anything good?" "I think so." I hoped as I handed her the letter that seeing it, actually holding it in her hand, might make her just the slightest bit excited. "Dartmouth? Is this a joke?" she asked incredulously. I just sighed and tried tactic number 2, reminding her that we would be there together. She always said that's all she cared about. "I'm sure it's an acceptance. It looks exactly like mine." "Good grief, Edward, what did you do?" "I sent in your application, that's all." No need to mention what Carlyle did. The School of Medicine now had significantly more scholarship money available for incoming students. He hadn't even blinked. He had been happy to do it, whether Bella ended up attending the school or not. "I may not be Dartmouth material, but I'm not stupid enough to believe that." "Dartmouth seems to think you're Dartmouth material," I said, smile fixed firmly on my face. It didn't matter how she got in. If it's what she wanted, that's where she would go. I had no doubt in her abilities, and if she needed a little extra help with her class load, that's where I came in. I could tutor her in any subject that she decided to take. I loved the idea that all my time attending college after college would actually go to some use, other than to occupy my endlessly bored mind. "That's very generous of them," she said slowly, like the words were causing her physical pain. "However, accept it or not, there's still the minor matter of tuition. I can't afford it, and I'm not letting you throw away enough money to buy yourself a new sports car just so I can pretend to go to Dartmouth next year."